Leadership doesn't begin in boardrooms, it begins at home. Today, we have parenting coach Priyanka from Canada with us to help us understand how we can raise our little leaders through everyday parenting. With 14 years of experience as an HR professional, she brings real insights into how leadership is shaped from childhood. Welcome, Priyanka. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for the wonderful welcome. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. And yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me for this podcast. I've been watching your videos. Absolutely amazing. So, pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much. With 14 years of experience in HR and 7 years of official and unofficial experience in as a parenting coach or the parent mentor, how did your leadership journey begin, and how does it help today's parents raise their confident kids?
Wow, that's a great question. And I would say, I would second to what you said here, that leadership begins at home, right? So, my leadership journey basically started with my dad being a leader. So, not just the position he held, he was a principal of Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, and then he moved into an assistant commissioner role of Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, Ranchi region. However, that didn't start because he was a positionary leader, but it started because he was actually teaching me and applying the leadership principles. That is like John C. Maxwell says, right? Leadership is 100% influence, nothing more, nothing less. So my dad taught me that leadership means you are a leader. You get to do things first before you expect people to follow. So that's how my initial thought started. But you tend to not take good things from your parents immediately. You tend to take
Right.
the other things that is not that great. So I also took something that was not great, and I did not focus on leadership as much, but it was there in my subconscious mind. So when I got married and I came to Canada about 10 years ago, I was I got introduced to a lot of leadership conferences, and I got introduced to a group which was just talking about leadership, self development, personal development, and I got connected with them. I attended some great conferences. One of those was by John C. Maxwell. He was the guest speaker there, and it
Wow.
was amazing. Yeah, and then reading some books on leadership, that's how it all started. So I started applying those principles and then realizing, okay, that's what my dad taught me. Okay, that's what my dad taught me, like applying those
Okay.
things, yeah, in my work. So I was excelling in the human resource department there. And then I realized that, wow, I can teach that to little kids. I can teach that to the parents. So I started doing that with my kids. I started teaching parents about leadership. And yeah, that's all the journey for you here in a nutshell.
Wow. So, as per you, that unconsciously you were absorbing everything your father was doing.
Everything. Yes,
Right.
he was sharing stories. So the best part about my dad was he would do a certain thing and then he would come home and we would talk about things like the mistakes
Okay.
he's made, even the
Okay.
mistakes that he's made. He would tell us, he would come
Mhm.
and share with us. We would have like a family time because there was no phones at that time, right? So we would just sit down together and have a family time. My dad would tell me the stories that he did, like the brave stories, the how he was a person who was the principal. And then for example, there was a there's a ground, the playground, right? So there is garbage everywhere on the playground. He would call a student and say, hey, come on, let's pick up the garbage. And he would pick up the first four garbage,
Very nice.
whatever it is, the chips wrappers or whatever, he would himself pick up. And then all the students, he would see, oh my God, the principal is picking up the garbage. Everybody gathers and starts picking up the garbage. And my dad just steps away, and and he's not doing it anymore. The kids are doing it. But that is a lesson that, we learn, that leader is not something who directs you to do something. Leader is somebody who does the first step, who goes ahead and makes that
Right.
first move, right? So hands down to my dad. Subconsciously it was in there. And then when I read the books, went to the conferences, it just came like a lava
Yeah.
coming out from a volcano. Yeah,
Yeah. So you have said two things here that communication with kids are very important. Whether it's your failure or it's your success, you must share that with your kids. Second thing, you just said that a leader has to set an example so that people can do the same thing, they can follow. Wow, that's the
absolutely.
lovely.
These are the two lessons I bring to my parenting, and that's how
Mhm.
the connection between my kid has grown a lot. And plus, now I'm instilling those leadership principles in my kids too, right? So it's a funny example. Like today, I was in a play place with my kids and their friends, and
Mhm.
there is a mesh net, like it's a 5 level mesh net, and my son could
Okay.
do it, and his friend could do it, but my daughter couldn't do it. She just turned 4, right? So she couldn't do it. And she was asking my help. I said, okay, think about it. What are the possibilities? So my son says, I can help her. The other friend, he's a very close friend of ours. He said, I can help her too. They both were pushing her up. But she went to the second level, it was pretty high up. So she was looking down the net. She couldn't go. So she was like, Mommy, I need you to step in and help me. But the net couldn't take my weight. I could get in, but it wouldn't take my
Yes.
weight. It's gonna get unstable. So I said, wait, it's not possible for me to get inside it. Let's look for other ways. He said, no, mommy, you can do it. Try harder. You can do it. I said, I said, it's
How
not
cute.
as yeah, thanks. I said it's not a will issue. It's my ability issue. I can't get in right now. It will fall off. The whole thing will drop. It can't take the adult's weight. So yeah, it's funny, that the kids, yeah, they see how you are becoming a leader and then they copy that. So he's telling me you can do it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you just talked about that how your daughter was showing a leadership skill. So are there any early signs you look into the kids that like they have the leadership qualities or not? When you meet parents, they must come to you. They must asking you that does my child has a leadership quality? What should I look for in my child that has a leadership quality or not?
That's an amazing question. And I love this question because the answer will surprise you. It depends on what is the age of the kid and what kind of quality the kid shows age wise. Okay. So a kid who is a toddler, okay, he can show you the signs of leadership. So the first sign of leadership is independence. You've seen toddlers asking, right? I want to do it on my own. I want to,
Yes.
tie my shoes on my own. I want to wear my jacket on my own. I want to buckle
Yeah.
the car seat on my own. Okay, so
I
it's
see
number
that every day at my home.
yes, I can do this. This I can 100% do this. So there is no will issue in those kids. Okay, they are
Yeah.
leaders from within. They are, as soon as they're turning 1.5, 2, they are wanting to be a leader, right? Now here comes the parent into picture. The parent who harnesses that independence and says, okay, yes, if the kid doesn't have the ability yet, that's another question altogether. For example, a kid is trying to open a jar, which
Mhm.
is like adults have issues opening that jar, right? If a kid is trying to open the jar, his willingness to open the jar is the leadership. His
Okay.
ability, if he can open the jar or not, that's his physical strength, right? That comes from the gross motor skills and the fine motor skills he's developed or not. But if we shut down that willingness, we are shutting an emerging leader down.
Oh.
Yes. And that is like one of the things, and every kid has that. So the question that people are asking, what are the
Mhm.
early signs of leadership? Your kid already showed you the sign. Now it's for you to harness it. Now, number
Okay.
two,
Hmm.
uh, so the second one is teamwork. How does kid show you teamwork? You go out and do your groceries, you come home, the kid will try to lift that heavy 5 kilo bag and try to help you. He's trying to
Yes.
help you teamwork.
Okay.
collaboration, right? I see it that way because if he's trying to help you, it's teamwork, it's collaboration. And now, as a parent, if you shut it down, say, no, 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 it's too heavy, you can't do it, you can't do it, down. You just suppress the
Yes.
leader, right? So if you tell him, yes, okay, you know, try lifting it up, and the kid tries to lift it up, it's too heavy. You said, do you want to try a lighter one? And then you give him a lighter one, like the bag of bread, or um like a something else, like a half
Something
kg
else, yeah.
something. Yeah. So those, that's why I say parents are too worried what are the signs that I see at a certain age. They're already
Mhm.
showing you.
That's absolutely right. We parents start helping the kids instead of guiding them. Yes,
Yeah,
I
like
get it. Because I
uh,
am I am able to relate that.
yes, and
So
we're like, no, 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 no,
actually
no,
I
you
am
don't do it. Yeah,
yeah, actually
go
I'm
ahead,
a
sorry.
lazy one. I'm a very lazy person. So whenever my kid asks me, Mama, shall I do this? He's just turning 3 in very soon. So whenever he asks me, Mama, can I do it? I'm like, yeah, do this as well. So I give
Yeah.
him more responsibility just because I am
So
lazy. But I think this is helping him.
so
So
I
at this
would
age,
not.
he can wear his pant, he can, tie his shoelaces. He does not
Amazing.
need anybody's help. And people used to say that, how come he's doing it? Ma'am, he's so young. Don't let him do. Let him enjoy. I was like, no, no, let him do. Who will do otherwise?
Yes, that's
I
right.
now
So
I
I
get it.
wouldn't.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I wouldn't call it you being lazy. I think you're very good at delegation. You're very good
Okay,
at
thank you.
delegation. Yes, so if your child says, can I do it? You delegate, because you have to do other responsibilities as well, right? So it's great that you're
Yeah,
able to delegate, because with delegation, he's learning accountability. He's learning how to take responsibilities. He's learning um, lot of skills, helping, teamwork, like it's his house too, right? And his duty too
absolutely.
to get dressed up, right? So yeah, I commend you on that. It's not being lazy at all. It's being resourceful and delegating to your kid. So now when this kid becomes 4 years old, then there are different signs in the kid. I'm still answering your question, because now the 4 year to 5 year old to 7 year old kid, they have different signs. They are going to play,
Okay.
they organize a game. They organize a game together. They say, come on, mama, these are the games, rules of the game. You have to stand there and you have to do this. Have you seen kids saying that?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So those are the skills of a 4 year old plus, right? They take lead. They have a voice in the household. If a kid says, that's not fair, okay, great. That's a great negotiation skill. It's not that he's trying to be mean or rude. If he says that's not fair, that means okay, he has a voice. Okay. So that's a
Wow.
voice of an emerging leader. If I look at my son and he says to me, um, Mama, you're wrong. Okay. Then I'll say, oh, wow, that's a leader. He's able to question. A leader is able to question. He's able to give directions, right? So we have to carefully harness those signs and use it in the best way possible, because every kid is going to show you those signs. Make sense?
Right. So you talked about strong-minded kids, right? So is that okay for kids to be like that? Because sometimes what happen, they uh, they get very much stubborn about something. Do we relate it with strong-mindedness, or is it okay for a leader, or do we scold them? What shall we do at that time? Sometimes when they are negotiating on something which is actually not right, and being a parent, we don't know. We sometimes think that yes, we heard from somebody who is expert who says that this is a sign of a leader. Now my child is saying something wrong. What shall I do now?
Yeah, see, there are kids who are very expressive, like very expressive in their approach, right? See,
Hmm.
I'm gonna